Why did I join the UBL? Well, I was minding my own business when Automatic messaged me and goes, and I'm reading further, and I'm reading further, and he shows me the list of people who are participating in this season, and there's one name that stands out in the list.
What is up, my little Danos? Vepsis.
And I immediately accepted because I knew this was the league that Vepsis was back-to-back champions in. You see, I've been helping Dr. Slacking for 2 fucking seasons, and he can't take down the fucking Finnish. I have to do it for him. Oh, but Aquarius, that's really mean to Vepsis. Why would you challenge someone who's been really successful? No. This is Vepsis right here. This is Vepsis's opinion on the best mod of all time, Guzzlord. Very disrespectful, very mean. But is Vepsis even really allowed to have an opinion on anything when he believes like sets like this or sets like this are socially acceptable within the community? No. This man must be stopped. The UBL is under a curse.
Okay, yeah, the rest comes out.
Yes, the rest. Rest everything, okay.
It seems like he's just playing randomly in a way. Like he's like, oh, I'm just like, I don't really care right now. I'm just gonna click whatever.
We do get him down even lower. Did you have pain split? You probably have pain split. Yes, rest, okay.
Still asleep. Cool. No way! What?
Like it feels like there's no rhyme or reason like to it. Just like, I'm gonna do it. I don't think he's predicting me to go for anything specific.
And now what I can pretty much do is, annoying enough for him, I'm gonna go for the rest. Come on, Lin. This is my kill leader of this season, by the way. We go for the rest. What is up, my little Danos? What is up, my little Danos? What is up, my little Danos? What is up, my little crops? Web potato here. Vepsis, your goes of the Helsinki Dragons.
This season of the UBL, we will be declaring war against the reigning king, challenging his throne, and pushing for the title. Join me in the 6th season of the Ultimate Battle League. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the UBL draft analysis video. Yes, we are in a second Wi-Fi league. If you saw in my original UPBA draft analysis, I alluded to the fact that I'm participating in 2 different Wi-Fi leagues. This is that second Wi-Fi league, and I'm super excited to be a part of it. I was offered to join by Automatic. Thank you so much to him for inviting me into the league. I was invited by him about a week after UPBA started, so I had already committed to UPBA. I didn't want to leave that in favor of this league, but I was really wanting to join this league once I was invited. And part of the reason for that is because a lot of people who I know very well come from this league. One is Dr. Slacking, someone who I've talked about and have had extensively on this channel and is a friend and a mentor to me. Another person is Vepsis, who's been guiding me through sort of the Wi-Fi scene ever since I joined UPBA, and other people as well who I haven't necessarily met yet, but people who I've seen on YouTube and are just fantastic battlers and fantastic personalities. Automatic, who runs the league, Grandmaster D-Ray, Root, Under the Radar. So many people come to mind. Honestly, everyone in the league is spectacular, and I'm super excited to be playing against them. The other thing that's really cool is that I've been a part of Dr. Slacking's front office for about, so long now, ever since he joined UBL, like I said. And it means that I've actually helped him build for this league numerous times before, so I have a little bit of knowledge of the people in this league and such like that, but it's very interesting to now be playing in it now that I'm jumping into the Wi-Fi scene. Again, I want to thank Automatic for inviting me. It means a ton to me to be here, mostly because, I am not the biggest creator compared to a lot of other people. There's people here who have literally over 1,000 subscribers and get a ton of views and such. I believe I'm literally the smallest content creator that was invited into the league, so it means a lot to be still considered despite that. And I hope that maybe some new faces join the channel and can watch this second Wi-Fi journey as well. Now, as the sort of dramatic intro alluded to, and of course, all love to both Vepsis and everyone who is featured in that video. It was just basically for a swing attempt at comedy. But it is serious in a way, in the sense that Vepsis has won this league twice. I'm tired of him winning, and now that I feel like I understand Wi-Fi a little bit more, now having the experience I have in UPBA, and that I've now internalized how Wi-Fi works a little bit more. It's still a learning curve. I'm still going to be learning a lot more. But since I'm I have a little bit of experience now, I really feel like this is a league where I can make a possible run. And that's not to say I can't make a run in UPBA. I believe at the time you see this, I'll still be 0-2 in that league. But, you know, I still think that this is a league where I can get a fresh start after learning the ropes of Wi-Fi a little bit more. And we'll be sort of playing both UBL and UPBA simultaneously. The UBL games will go up on Monday, I think, and the UPBA games will go up on Friday. So, ton of content for this channel, and I'm going to be really excited to feature myself on it. So, this is the draft analysis. Boom, let's talk about it. Let's freaking do the thing. So, we had 1,100 points. This was a little bit different from UPBA in the sense that it wasn't tiers, it wasn't points. It was more so that the way I thought about it was basically it was just a very, very condensed points draft. So like there was a 200 pointer, 180 pointer, 160 pointer, 140 pointer. I basically viewed everything as just 20 points, 18 points, 16 points, 14 points, 12 points, all the way down to 2 points being the lowest. It'll say 20 and 40, but it's just multiples of 10. It's the same thing. But so in a way, it's sort of a mix between tiers because there's like 10 different tiers, but like that's a lot to be like tiers, so it's also points, but it's like condensed points, so it's kind of a mid-ground between the two. Made for very interesting drafting. The top level mods were very pricey, and it sort of forced me to look to some low tier options, as you're going to see throughout this draft analysis. So let's get into it. I was the middle pick, classic. That's always fun, but honestly, I didn't mind. I was pretty happy with what I came out with. So pick 1 is going to be Tornadus. Tornadus is something that fell all the way down to me. I believe I was pick 7. That might be wrong. I might have been pick 6. No, I'm pretty sure I was pick 7 or even pick 8 maybe. But it fell all the way down to me nonetheless. The one person who was considering picking it up was Vepsis, who was the pick before me. I said I was interested in it. He said, that's fine. I'll let you have it because I have it in some other league. And I was able to take it. So I'm really excited to be using it. I've only used Tornadus Therian once, and that was in a tournament in APM. And I really only got to use it for like 5 games because it was like presets, and then I made it to like quarterfinals or something. I literally wasn't able to use it for a ton of time. The time I did use it, I loved the versatility it offered. A lot of people, I think, are collapsing its utility just to offensive boots. Maybe they think about only nasty plot, things like that. I think Tornadus has so many more options. It can be a slow pivoter if you build it to be. It can be a fast pivoter if you build it to be. It can be defensive in any way you want it to be defensive. It can be physically defensive or especially defensive. It can be physically offensive. It could be especially offensive. I think its coverage is spectacular. I think people see Hurricane and freak out too much about Tornadus, when in reality, I think Hurricane's kind of just a luxury on it. I don't think it needs Hurricane to be like the greatest thing ever, although it obviously makes it spectacular as it is. But I think Air Slash and other sort of miscellaneous coverage moves, because it just has so much coverage, also does the job. In the way I almost view it similar to Mew in that sense, that it just has so much coverage in it that sometimes it doesn't even need a run stab, but maybe that's just like a weird way I think about Tornadus. It gives me a defogger and it gives me a really high speed tier. Something I struggled with in UPBA was finding mons that were really fast. I internally took note of that before this draft and said I want to get some high tier speed so I don't have to stress about it in the lower ends and get something like Talonflame again. Tornadus was the answer to that, and I'm really excited to be using it. I think it can be offensive. I think it can be defensive. I think I'm such a versatile player who can play a defensive game or play an offensive game that I can use it in any which way I want, or a nasty plot set if I think that's best, or a defog set. I think the ability to use Regenerator, which is obviously the big catch about Tornadus, helps it with so many possible different items. I know heavy duty boots is a thing because that sort of helps with regen, and you know, it means rocks aren't a deterrent to it and stuff like that. But I think there's a ton of other options that you can use with regen as well. For example, running Life Orb Tornadus, for example, switching out just negates the Life Orb damage that you took, but you have an increased boost in power. I used that a lot in the APM tournament when I used Tornadus, and it was pretty successful. Other things, I mean, substitute Tornadus if I want a bulkier set. Well, you can regen that sub bulk off or sub damage off when you swap out after the sub is broken, etc. So there's just a lot of versatility you can use with it thanks to its regen ability and its insane coverage. So I'm really excited to be using Tornadus. The second mon that I picked up was Mamoswine. I reached a little bit early for Mamoswine, but the reason I wanted to do so is because I felt that I wanted a few things. One is I felt like I wanted a reliable rocker right away. Mamoswine isn't the most reliable rocker in my opinion, but if you need it to be there, it can be there, because Mamoswine typically only needs dual stab plus Ice Shard potentially. Sometimes it does want extra coverage moves, but generally speaking, it can run Stealth Rock successfully if need be, and I wanted something that could do that right away. Second thing I wanted was a high tier ground type. I was thinking of a few options. I was thinking about Crocodile, but I didn't want to get Crocodile this early, and I've used Crocodile so much in the past already. I actually haven't used Mamoswine before, so I sort of looked at the ground types. I saw the Nidos. I use the Nidos all the time. I saw Crocodile. I use Crocodile all the time. The one high tier ground type that I've literally never used is Mamoswine. So even if I took it early, it was something that I wanted to try personally for myself, and something that I felt could make this team really, really disgusting. I mean, it's really nice because it like breaks electric types, it breaks rock types that Tornadus could struggle with, it breaks steel types that Tornadus can struggle with, and I just think it makes like a really nice offensive core with Tornadus as well. I guess fighting types are something that Tornadus checks and that's something Mamoswine struggles with. Yeah, I don't know. I just really want to use Mamoswine is really the truth of it. But I think I can make it very versatile. I think it has a lot of other options that people overlook quite often, such as running Oblivious to be immune to Taunt, or other things such as a Curse set, or a few other different options that I'm not going to say just yet because I don't want to, tip off my opponents. But it does get a little bit more than just offense plus rocks, which I'm really excited for. Plus, it can run Band, Scarf, Life Orb. Has a lot of versatility and item usage. So yeah, that's Mamoswine. I really wanted to use Mamoswine. So round 3, I was like, man, I really want to use a steel. I really need a steel type right now because I was struggling to get a steel type in UPBA at the end. I had to go Registeel, and I like Registeel, but I didn't want to go Registeel again because I already had an UPBA. I don't want any overlap on this team than the UPBA team. And steel types were going really freaking quick, and I was seeing the other steel types on the board, and I just hated them. Like there was like Durant and Duraludon and all this shit. I did not want any of those. So it's a little pricey, but I ended up picking up Jirachi. It lasted around 3. I took it. I said, you know what? I've also never used Jirachi before. Let's pick up Jirachi because I wanted a steel type that got access to rocks. I think, like I said, Mamoswine's not the greatest rocker, but it's a reliable rocker, but it's not the greatest. So I want a second one, high up if possible. And Jirachi covers sort of a middle speed tier between Mamoswine and Tornadus. Gives me a Psychic type, gives me a Pivoter that can sort of core with Tornadus. It gives me a ton of options and a ton of setup options as well. I don't think Nastplat Tornadus is the most reliable setup mon, but I think setup Jirachi could be reliable with, Cosmic Power and Calm Mind, things like that. It can be physical, it can be special. It maintains that sort of unpredictability, whether it's physical or special, alongside Tornadus. Has mixed potential alongside Tornadus, I should say. And I just thought it was really good. I think it was pretty pricey. As you could see, basically half my budget is blown on my first 3 picks. But I think the fact that Jirachi dropped all the way down to me basically made me say, you know what? I don't think I'm going to have another opportunity to pick this because in my mind, I don't think Jirachi is really worth round 1, and I don't think Jirachi is really worth an early round 2 either. But if it lasts around 3, I think it's justified picking it up. But I didn't think I would have another opportunity to pick it up is what I guess I'm trying to say. So, or at least in a Wi-Fi league. So I really want to use Jirachi. I think it looks really cool. I think there's a ton of options for it. Meteor Beam is something I've seen very recently. I've seen Cosmic Power sets, obviously, which are really disgusting, and I've seen a ton of other things with coverage. I'm not afraid to just run Scarf Ironhead or Ice Punch and go for freezes and flinches. I think it would just be pretty good overall and could help me out. Thunder Waving things is amazing for Mamoswine as well. Yeah, it's just a Jirachi. You know what Jirachi does. It's disgusting. Okay, next is Primarina. So I wanted a fairy type and I wanted a water type. Bam, Primarina. A little bit more nuanced than that is just like, I saw Primarina. It was one of the first things I saw when I looked at the tier list and thought it was kind of underpriced. Like I saw Suicune at 160 and then I saw Primarina at 120 and I was like, I'd rather have Primarina. And I just thought it was pretty cheap. You know, in UPBA, I think it was literally like a 15 pointer, whereas this, it's a 12 pointer technically. So, you know, I just thought it was pretty good. I think it gives me more momentum in flip turn, and it gives me really nice offense in its dual stab. And I think that altogether, having a bulky water to deal with certain like fire type coverage, I didn't have a response to like fire types yet. To deal with water type coverage, I didn't have a response to that yet. Ice type, well, I guess Jirachi takes on ice types, but you know, fairy of course covers other things too, like a dark type resist, even though I don't really want to be switching in on knockoffs too often. Or something along the lines of a fighting resist as well. So Torn isn't pressured super on top. I mean, this, I guess, forces fighting types to run like Thunder Punch against me if he wants to cover both Primarina and Torn, but like Thunder Punch is kind of a shitty low base power move, so I'm okay with that. Generally speaking, it also just like gives me more nice speed tiers. Like my speed tiers are actually like perfectly stacked right now. In Torn at 121, drop 21 to Jirachi, drop 20 to Mamoswine, drop 20 to Primarina. So pretty balanced speed tiers as well. Primarina was just a great fit, and I was really surprised he made round 4, so I took it up. I picked it up, not took it up. All right, next is me and Xiao. Me and Xiao is something that I've wanted to use for a while. Again, you're going to notice this is a big trend on my team. I actually don't think anything I've drafted, well, that's not true. I was going to say most of the stuff I've drafted, I've never drafted before, which is true. The majority is the case for, I'll explain later. But me and Xiao gives me a little bit of an offensive regen core with Torn, which I thought was pretty neat. And it gives me a great pivoter. It gives me another speed tier above 100, which I think is pretty nice to get some high tier speed. And again, I saw it at 100 points. I thought it was an absolute fucking steal. I think that literally a 10-point me and Xiao, if you think of it like that, is nuts. Like, that's insane to me. Like, I am taking that ASAP. And the fact it didn't go round 5 is insane. I wanted to pick it up round 4, but I thought Primarina was so important to me that I couldn't risk Primarina going. So I had to wait for me and Xiao. Thankfully, it paid off, and I'm able to pick up me and Xiao in the end. It gives me another priority user with Fake Out, I guess. It's not really the greatest. I have Ice Shard, Mamoswine, and Aquajet Primarina, which are a little bit more reliable, probably. But, you know, just the U-turn, the amazing ability to run offensive fighting moves against teams that don't have ghosts is just disgusting. I've looked at some calcs for, like, Reckless High Jump Kick, for example, and holy shit. Like, this thing can, like, deal a ridiculous amount of damage when it, like, has no right to whatsoever. So I'm really excited to be using it. It should have other setup options. I'm trying to remember if it gets Sword Stance. We're going to do a little search to see if it does or not. I don't really care, though, if it does or it doesn't, because I'm probably going to run, like, Life Orb or Band or other things like that pretty often. I don't think it gets Sword Stance. Oh my god, it gets Sword Stance. Holy shit. Okay, that's pretty disgusting. And, like, agility, too. It's a lot of other coverage, which seems kind of nice. And it's a Tauntmon. Who doesn't love Tauntmons? We need another Tauntmon on top of this damn Torn. So, yep, it looks pretty good. Gives me another pivoter. And I have 4 out of 5 pivoters on this team. That's really cool. I feel like I'm a good player when I have, like, different pivoting options. And I feel like that's something I kind of lack on my UPBA team. So having a team that's a little bit more offensive and a little bit more pivoty, you know, instead of sort of the defensive one from UPBA, is a little bit more in my comfort zone. So I'm really excited to be using me and Xiao. Next mon is Delmeez. Okay, a little bit of a story. I really wanted Rotom Mo. Look how amazing Rotom Mo would have been versus my team. It would have been spectacular. It would have been amazing. But unfortunately, Ultra Player took Rotom Mo. Out of nowhere, I really thought he was going to take it. I was looking at his team. He was like the one person who I thought could take it. And I didn't want to wait on me and Xiao. And but Rotom Mo would have been so good. It would have been a nice speed tier between Mamoswine and Jirachi, and it would have given me another pivoter, and it would have given me an electric type 2, but it got taken, so we ended up picking up Delmeez instead. I know it's not the same thing, and it definitely does like nothing similar to Rotom. It's basically just a grass type that is a remover. I really need a remover besides Torn on this team, so it was originally going to be Rotom, but now it's Delmeez. So Delmeez is a rapid spinner. I don't pick up rapid spinners that often, so I guess that's kind of cool. And I was looking at some damage with Delmeez. maybe this thing is actually pretty good. I've never used it before, but it actually looks kind of nuts. It got a lot of tech this gen that I didn't know that it got. It got Iron Defense, Body Press obviously is one option. It gets Pain Split as an option to recover, which I've never seen really before. I guess it gets Synthesis as well, but Synthesis is... yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Synthesis is always better than Pain Split. But it gets a ton of other tech, like Poltergeist. I had no idea it got Poltergeist before I, like, asked around some people. But Anchor Shot as well seems really cool to me. Like, the ability to trap things and then, you know, that could lead the way for, like, something like Jirachi to break. Like, trap a Dark type and win with, like, I don't know, Cosmic Power. Or, like, trap a Steel type and win with, like, Tornadus. Or, like, trap a Poison type and win with me and Xiao. Like, I just think, like, Anchor Shot gives a lot of niche options to me that I can actually really easily value. It's also just like an insane physical breaker on top of Mammoth Swine. It just gives my team a lot more breaking power, and it has a lot of cool tech. It gets Switcheroo. I didn't even know it got Switcheroo. It gets Knockoff, so I believe that means I have 4 knockoff mons now, which is super great. I don't have a lot of knockoff mons in my UPBA team either, so having that ability is really, really sweet. And yeah, it's just Delmeez. I mean, it spins, it has some tech options, it's kind of bulky, it can Swords Dance. I have, you know, another Swords Dance mon. I like it. I would have preferred to have Rotom, but you know, I already have Rotom Heat in the other leagues, so why not try out Delmeez? I'm excited to try it out. Have not tried it before. We'll see if I like it or not. Doesn't look like it would be my kind of play style, but hopefully I'm pleasantly surprised. Next mon is Druddigan. Druddigan is something that was a last minute decision to pick up right after Miltank was taken. I really wanted to get Miltank for 80 points because it's something that I'm extremely comfortable with. I'd say next to Rotom Fan, it's one of my most low tier comfort picks, and it was taken. So I wasn't able to get Miltank, and I really wanted it because I wanted a Ghost immunity / resist, and I wanted something that, you know, spread T-Wave more and stuff like that for Jirachi and etc. And was a cleric as well, but it got taken, and I was really panicked at this point. I was like, oh my god, like, my only rockers right now are Mammoth Swine and Jirachi. I feel like that's such garbage. Like, what the fuck do I do? And out of nowhere, like, literally after like 2 hours of searching, I realized I've completely been missing Druddigan because I was like looking at like steel types and ground types and stuff like double up on for like an extra rocker. I completely forgot that Druddigan like got rocks and was like a dragon type that got rocks. So it gave me a dragon type, and it also gets Glare, which is arguably better than T-Wave on Miltank because it hits ground types, which allows Jirachi to Iron Head through ground types potentially. I think Glare could be amazing for my team. So I'm looking at Druddigan and I'm like, holy shit, this is the pick. And I pick it up immediately. I saw it and I said, you know what? I need the rocker. I like the Glare support. It's kind of slow, but it's pretty good. This is the one mon that I drafted that I have used before, but I used it in one league called the GCC, and I dropped it right after week like 4 after Dragonite became available. So I made like a few transactions to like trade Druddigan and Dragonite, but I enjoyed Druddigan at the time. I was able to bring like Sheer Force Life Orb under Trick Room. I was able to like, you know, set up rocks and glare things. I thought it was a really, really great mon. So I'm excited to really get a full opportunity to try it at this point. It gets insane coverage as well, and 3 amazing abilities. That's the other thing about me and Xiao too. It gets 3 amazing abilities. So does Druddigan. Unpredictability in ability management, maybe, possibly. Other things like Roar and like insane coverage. Sucker Punch is more priority, I believe, because I only have Jet, Fake Out, and Ice Shard. But it's a Druddigan. It's pretty damn good. Bam. Next mon is Skunk Tank. Skunk Tank I reached for a little bit early, I'll admit, but I didn't have a Ghost Resist. I said, you know what, I want a Ghost Resist. I said, you know what, my only clear really is Delmeez. I want another clear. And at like 40 points, I thought it was pretty worthwhile. So I've used Skunk Tank back in like Gen 6 League. I don't really consider that me having used it before because that's years ago and I just remember nothing. but I remember enjoying it. So that's the cool thing about it. Do I think it has great stats? No, it has pretty terrible stats, to be honest. Do I think it has much great ability? No, not really. But its typing is spectacular. I think Poison Dark is one of the best typings really in the game because it only has one weakness to the ground that can be easily managed. It gives me another priority mon, and it actually has a little bit more coverage than I remember it having. I don't remember if like it got like added certain things. I did not remember it getting play rough, so that's cool. And it got like a few other cool niche tech options like Throat Chop and, you know, Lash Out. And I didn't even remember it having Haze, but I think it probably did back in Gen 6. Corrosive Gas is the other thing that I think is super cool on it. It's another form of item removal on my team. I have quite a few forms of item removal on my team, so just adding on to it with Skunk Tank is really cool. Burning Jealousy is a cool move that I saw it had. I don't know, it just seems like it had a lot of cool options that could be used. Aftermath as well as the ability. I said that the abilities weren't great on it, but Aftermath can be used to like surprise break a physically offensive mon and, you know, take it down with me or something like that. So I actually really do like the option of Skunk Tank. You can even explode or something. Like, I mean, it has a ton of cool options. So I'm really excited to use it. It's another taunt mon. I love my taunt mons. And I just needed the dark type. So, and I wasn't too worried about my dark type having access to knock because I had so many knockoff users anyway. Plus, this already has corrosive gas. Acid spray is the other thing that this thing gets. God, I'm talking for so much. Sorry. Acid spray is the other thing this thing gets that I really liked. So, it can be physical, it can be special. Really could go either way, which is super cool. Okay. Next mon on the team is Type Null. This is the mon I am most excited to use on the entire draft, and here's why. I think I play best with slow pivoters. I think I am a great user when at slow pivoters. I don't know why. I like getting momentum, and I get momentum better with slow pivoters as opposed to fast pivoters. And Type Null does that. And not only does Type Null do it, but it can wall literally anything. Like, it can literally wall anything. Like, you build the EV spread right, and you're not getting 3-hit KO'd by, like, any non-super effective hit. So, Arrest Talk set is really nice, but it also has a ton of also other ways to, like, be really good. I've seen Type Null on the Ranbats ladder, like, run Rest Talk, like, SD Crush Claw. You know what I mean? Like, it's, like, something crazy. So shit. I mean, that's what it gets. I mean, it's a Rest Talk mon. It's an EV Light mon that's disgustingly bulky. It can't get crit thanks to battle armor, and it actually has a really great array of moves. It has great coverage. It can Thunder Wave, it can Swords Dance, it can U-turn, it can be physical, special. Can run Dragon Claw, Flame Charge, Iron Head, Rock Slide, Shadow Claw. I hate draft analyses that just like fucking list off like moves, but like it gets a lot of coverage. That's my point. I do like it because it's a phaser. I like it because it's a slow pivot. That's the answer. Like, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm like bringing like fucking like terrain pulse Type Null or like Flame Charge, whatever. Like, maybe I do, but like it's a slow pivoter. It's a slow pivoter that's bulky and takes on ghost types immaculately and gives me my normal. There's your answer. All right. Next mon I wanted to pick up was Magneton. Basically, everyone was convincing me not to take Magneton, but I thought I needed to. Not because I don't like Magneton. I've actually never used it before. I've never used Magnezone either before. So this is going to be a new experience for me, but it gives me another pivoter, both via teleport and via volt switch. But I really looked at my team and I said, okay, I don't have a fire type and I don't have an electric type. And I have nightmares about drafts that don't have electric or fire types because they really struggle against Corviknight, Skarmory, and what's the other one? Celesteela. And all three of those were drafted. And my team struggles with those mons. So I basically just said, this is the mon that deals with those mons, and that's what it is. I have so many knockoff mons to knock off Shed Shell, so I think that Magneton is going to be absolutely immaculate. But even in games that those mons don't exist for, like the Celesteela Skarmory mons, Magneton looked insane. I was like pulling up some calcs for it, and like Flash Cannon to like a ton of ground types is like a 2-hit KO, and like if they don't go into a ground type, like Thunderbolt does a shit ton of damage. Like, Magneton is freaking powerful, and it's another mon that just has so many versatile abilities. It does get Magnapole, Sturdy, Analytic. I assume Sturdy is going to be the least common ability I use, but Analytic, like on a Switch, is disgusting. It's hideous with 120 special attack. It's absolutely bizarre how good it is. It even gets things like Steel Beam to just even add on to that nuke ability and power and such. So I'm excited to be using it. Its coverage is limited, especially with no hidden power now, but on the flip side of things, it actually does look like it's going to be a lot of fun to use. It gets a ton of really cool options that I'm excited to try out. As on top of that, it gives me a second steal, which sort of helps me along with certain psychic types that, you know, Skunk Tank isn't the greatest bring for, or certain just things that steel resists. I can't think of much else right now. I guess ice types, I don't really know. But just a second steal never hurts. Second steal is always really nice in drafts because it just gives you a shit ton of resistances, which is cool. Okay, last mon, I think a lot of people kind of thought was a joke. It's not a joke. This is serious. I am serious. I picked up Palpato. Yes, it's a Palpato. Look at it, stare at it. You're going to be looking at it a lot this season. It's a secondary ground, which is great because my ground type right now is not a freaking the greatest ground type, mostly because it doesn't take on a ton of electric types super well because it gets like grass knotted or like close combated by things like Zero Aura. Palpitoad, on the other hand, does not give a shit about grass knot. Palpitoad, I believe grass knot's only 40 base power against it. With an EBL, it just takes literally nothing. And on top of that, just literally like it's another rocker, so it gives me a fourth rocker, which is cool. It gives me a status spreader with like Scald and Toxic, and it actually does get like not like great coverage, but it gets enough coverage. It gets Power Whip, it gets Sludge Bomb. I believe it gets Icy Wind. Like it does enough for me as a sort of bulky low tier, and a water immunity. I don't have great Scald switch-ins. That was the reason I picked it up. But it's pretty damn good. I don't know. It's solid. Like everyone's like thinking like, oh, it's a Palpato. Like even on the Draft League website that UBL is on, it says 2 week next to it. 2 week, not like 2 week like day of the week, like two TOO week, like opposite of strong. The nerve of these people, right? Palpatoad's amazing. People are gonna have their souls destroyed by Palpatoad, and I'm literally gonna bring it multiple times this season. So watch me. It's really good. It's actually really insane, and it's insanely bulky. The calcs are nuts on it, and its number of resistances, and the fact that it's only weak to grass, and that the most common grass coverage is Grass Knot, and Grass Knot does 40 base power to Palpatoad is insanely nuts. So the water immunity is great. The rocker is great, but also just the bulk in itself is great. I can think of like at least 10 mods that were drafted that Palpato just sits in front of that were like high tier mods, and I'm possibly going to do it for him. It's also, full disclosure, a Dracovish answer. I don't have a great swap into Dracovish right now because Marina is not the most physically bulky, so it gives me another water type that takes on opposing water types that might be a little bit more physical or have coverage for Marina, for example. So I like it. Anyway, so that's the team. I want to show you a fun little thing. One second. Okay, smooth transition. This is the final team. Hunby drew this little drawing for me, so I figured I'd include it for the draft analysis. It's very awesome, and I'm really excited to be using this team. Really appreciate you checking out the channel. I'm really hoping that this season goes spectacularly. I'm like super excited for it. Stay tuned for battles on Mondays, and I'll see you all later.